What's the happiest memory of your life? For the man telling this story, it's age 4, a warm summer evening, sprinting straight toward the manor long past bedtime. His parents and Alfred stand blocking the way between him and the house, hands clasped tight. The whole family playing a game. He has to throw himself with everything he's got into their arms to try to break through. But every single time they hold him back, keep him out there just a little longer, so the whole family gets to play together a little longer. Turn the page, break it down, comics recap, let's go. Today I'm opening up a completely different series. Darker, more haunting, bloodier than anything I've covered before. The Batman Who Laughs. He still remembers the smell of freshly cut grass, the sun red as a bloodshot eye peeking through the leaves. But above all, he remembers the laughter. The whole family laughing like lunatics as the sky collapsed into darkness behind the house. Cut to Gotham, present day. Batman and Alfred are chasing down a convoy of heavy trucks from a shell company called Happy Trails, running contraband out of Gotham through secret compartments pressed into the truck floors. Word on the street says they're smuggling out unclaimed corpses straight from the city morgue, bodies that should have gotten a decent burial in the potter's field, instead getting shipped out of town to be chopped up. Batman can't hide his rage. These are people who lived and died right here in Gotham, people the city already failed to protect while they were alive, and now even their bodies are being violated by these smugglers. He rams the Bat-Raptor straight through an entire antique house being hauled on a flatbed trailer, takes on at least 3 gunmen plus a chase car escort, fires 2 grapple lines to hoist both escort vehicles up onto an overpass, lobs a batarang to fry the engine, then drops the last shooter right on the roof of the mobile home. Alfred spots the reinforced hidden compartments pressed into the floor. Batman sweeps the area, plants a bat charge by hand, and detonates it, blowing the secret compartment wide open. These bodies should have been resting peacefully at Potter's Field, the city's cemetery for the unclaimed, a beautiful stretch of land sloping gently down to the bay. But what's inside the compartment isn't ordinary cargo at all. A metal coffin. Batman opens the lid, looks down, and freezes cold. The face inside is his own. At the Gotham morgue, the coroner's conclusion: the dead man is Bruce Wayne, roughly 42 or 43, no wounds, no internal trauma, cause of death unknown. But the closer Batman and Alfred look, the more their skin crawls. The DNA is a perfect match. The scars line up too. The burn from Ducard, the tear from the night Harvey Dent became Two-Face, but only up to a certain point. The scars from more recent years, especially the injury from Bane breaking his back, are completely absent from this body. The conclusion: this is a different Bruce Wayne, from a parallel timeline, one who chose a different path at that exact same fork in the road. After Bane broke his back, this version retired from being Batman and switched to helping Gotham a different way. Civic projects, green construction. There's still eco-fiber from sustainable building work caught under his fingernails. A mark on his finger shows this man was married. A small tattoo of a flower with the word May inked on his hand makes it even more shocking. That's the exact name Bruce once considered suggesting to Selina if the two of them ever had a daughter, a name meant to signal a fresh start. Around this man's eyes and the corners of his mouth are deep laugh lines, the mark of someone who lived a genuinely happy life. Batman stares in silence at the corpse of himself from another universe, then suddenly freezes. Alfred, it's him. I'm certain of it. He orders that he be taken there immediately, not a second longer. Arkham Asylum, a scene of total chaos, guards screaming into their radios for help, gunfire, screaming. A figure in a Batman cowl has broken in, despite the asylum having just rebuilt its entire security system. But look closer, and this isn't the Batman you know. His entire body is bristling with guns. The Grim Knight, the version of Batman who carries firearms. He slaughters without mercy, a blade through a guard's throat, a gun fired point blank into another. One inmate in his cell, none other than Mr. Freeze, begs him to think of something happy, exactly the way his doctor once advised him when he loses control. But the only answer he gets is a column of fire that burns him alive as he thrashes and screams, "It burns!" Then the Grim Knight presses a blood-soaked hand onto a scanner, unlocking a special holding cell, and mutters, "Hello, old friend," and out of the blinding light of the open doorway steps a second figure, a chain in one hand, an axe in the other, a spiked cowl hiding his eyes above a grinning, blood-smeared mouth. the Batman who laughs, the true monster of this story. The imprisoned Joker panics, begging, "Wait, we can work together, we can cooperate." The monster only replies, "My answer is," before burying a single axe blow straight through his skull. Ha! At GCPD headquarters, the real Batman explains to Commissioner Gordon, he deliberately kept the bat signal dark because the whole city is already terrified, even though deep down everyone already knows it wasn't really him out there. That creature is an apex predator from a dimension where every hope and fear humanity has ever felt takes on physical form. It has conquered and destroyed world after world before this one. According to Batman's theory, the Joker's heart contains a unique super toxin that will be released the instant he dies, turning whoever kills him into the next Joker. This monster is another version of Bruce Wayne himself, carrying every memory, every ounce of training, the entire mind of Batman, but stripped of every moral boundary, a heart as dark as the Joker's own, a living embodiment of the idea that Batman always wins. And the gun-toting accomplice who cleared his path into Arkham, the brutal Grim Knight who massacred the guards and nearly killed Mr. Freeze, is yet another version of Bruce Wayne. Batman also discovers something else. The Joker just murdered in his cell was only a body double, one of the Joker's own clowns, planted there days in advance, as if the real Joker somehow knew this was coming all along. The double's fake name, once decoded through several aliases, spells out Sang, old slang in Gotham's comedy underground for a performer who just delivered the best show of his career. Good enough that dying afterward would almost be worth it. But the story doesn't stop there. Batman suddenly understands everything. He knows exactly what the happiest moment of the Joker's life would be. Right there in the Batcave, he barks an order at Alfred to reopen the entire waterway security system that had been locked down, so that something can rise up out of the black water. And there it is, the real Joker, who's been waiting under the surface all along, soaked and grinning as he surfaces, joking that he really should have knocked knock knock first. Batman declares, "You'll be safe here," refusing to kill him even though there have been moments he wanted to. But the Joker just sneers back that he never wanted safety, and neither does Batman, before suddenly pulling out a hidden gun and shooting himself point blank in the chest, straight through the heart, before Batman can react, leaving him with one final warning. The only way you're ever going to beat him is by becoming him. The Joker's heart stops, and exactly as Batman theorized, the super toxin hidden inside it sprays straight into Bruce's face. Moments later, Alfred realizes with horror that something is deeply wrong. Batman is just standing there, and he's smiling. Why are you smiling like that? Is something wrong? Batman feels that exact same sensation from his happiest memory as a child. Alfred's arms holding him tight, calling his name. But now, the only sound he can still hear is just one thing. If you find this opening creepy enough to stick around for the rest of the ride, drop a like so I've got the motivation to make it all the way through this dark road with you. And then, the final page of the first issue closes on one haunting image, a Batman with a horrifying stretched out grin, roaring ha 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 over the Joker's corpse, as the caption box reads simply, "Was laughter." The entire opening flashback, it turns out, was Bruce's own memory, his happiest moment in life, and the moment of his own fall, forever bound together by exactly one thing, the sound of his family's laughter, now twisted into pure madness. The official title of the story is finally revealed, The Grim Knight, Part 1. Actually, The Laughing House, Part 1. Right after that, the story cuts down into the Batcave, right into the middle of a tense, breath-stealing emergency surgery. Bruce and Alfred are hunched over a patient strapped down, wired up everywhere, clinging to life. None other than the real Joker, captured alive at the end of the last chapter, kept sedated with a homemade Joker toxin antidote that's only good for less than a week before his body transforms into that same monster, like his evil counterpart. Alfred protests fiercely, calling this flatly unethical, but Bruce cuts him off cold. This is an operating room. Keep drawing blood. To him, saving the life of his worst enemy right now isn't an act of mercy. It's because the Joker is the only key to understanding the monster hunting them all. Right in the middle of the operation, the Joker suddenly jolts awake, cackling through the breathing tube, startling Batman into blurting, "Joker?" Alfred reassures him it's just an involuntary reflex, not consciousness. The chapter's official title is revealed right here, The Laughing House, Part 2. The story immediately jumps to another murder scene across Gotham. A car cruising along, radio playing, when something drops out of the sky and crashes straight down onto the hood. The victim, once again, is Bruce Wayne, but a different Bruce Wayne from a parallel universe. Exactly the fear Batman raised back in the last chapter. At the scene, a Detective Bullock is examining the body alongside Commissioner Gordon, but underneath the disguise, that's actually Batman. The real Harvey Bullock is out on medical leave for a hernia, so Bruce borrowed his identity to investigate without stirring public panic. Gordon immediately notices something's off about Harv today, worry in his eyes as he asks if he's all right. Batman, as Bruce, just answers he's fine and asks to get back to work, hiding an obsession the audience won't understand until the very end of the chapter. The examination reveals this Bruce Wayne once rose all the way to mayor of Gotham, retired from being Batman right after Jason Todd's death, and lived a genuinely happy life. His wallet even still holds a victory speech for a federal energy contract, and he was likely attending a celebration aboard a hot air balloon when he got yanked across dimensions to here. There's a puncture wound on the victim's chest where blood and tissue samples were drawn. The killer extracted heart blood, the last and most resilient cells in the body, to synthesize a serum. A chilling theory forms right at the crime scene. The monster comes from a dimension where dark matter mirrors humanity's deepest fears and hopes, and it's trying to turn those cells into something that can infect anyone with dark matter, transforming them into their own worst nightmare: predators. Right then, the real Harvey Bullock shows up, confusing a group of rookie cops who mistake Harv for the real him, accidentally revealing a detail that's equal parts funny and disturbing. The whole precinct is secretly running a betting pool on whether the Grim Knight or the Laughing Man, their nickname for the monster, will take down Batman first. The real Bullock furiously chews out the rookies, while Gordon just shakes his head apologizing on their behalf, then pulls Harv, really Batman, aside, saying there's something he needs to show him, an old map of Gotham. The moment the map is unrolled, the story instantly rewinds to the exact event that left Batman looking off tonight: a fateful visit to Wayne Tower. Gordon once told Bruce about a secret system called Last Laugh, a legacy left behind by Gotham's very own founding families back in the 18th century, born in the wake of a plague that wiped out a third of the city, an ultimate defense protocol capable of sealing off the entire city, purifying the air and water, and isolating Gotham from any biological or chemical catastrophe spreading from within. The control center sits on the most secure floor of Wayne Tower, unlockable only by the biometrics of exactly two people: Bruce Wayne and a loyal gatekeeper named Bill, a former employee once injured by Scarecrow, whose pacemaker surgery Bruce quietly paid for, and who remains endlessly grateful to Mr. Wayne without ever knowing he's really Batman. But the instant the vault door opens, disaster strikes. The Grim Knight, the monster's brutal accomplice, another version of Batman who lost every last moral line in a world where Wayne Enterprises itself was fully weaponized, has already slipped in ahead of them, slaughtering the entire security detail guarding the Last Laugh vault with a blade and his bare hands. Batman rushes in to stop him, shouting for him to stand down before crashing straight through a glass wall for a direct confrontation. A brutal, mind-bending duel unfolds. The Grim Knight is faster and more savage, but our Batman has been secretly training an entirely new move, a technique, quite literally, of his own invention, one his opponent can't predict because it's never existed anywhere except inside his own head. But just as it seems he's finally gaining the upper hand, Batman suddenly realizes everything, even lying exposed out of cover, was already calculated by the Grim Knight. A sudden shot slams into Batman's side, a specialized numbing round loaded with a bat taser tip, both taking him down and jamming every sound signal he's able to send out. The Grim Knight calmly rises to his feet, revealing he's the version of Bruce Wayne who would exist if young Joe Chill's gun had slipped and little Bruce had picked it up instead. A Batman locked in total war against the entire world, with no moral line left standing. He casually announces he's dismantling the whole Last Laugh system using a special protocol he had access to back in his own world. A controlled demolition plan to level the tower, just in case Batman falls and all its classified files get exposed. Batman screams for him to stop, but it's useless. The taser round has jammed all sound, and no one inside can hear the abort command. Amid a string of contemptuous final words, calling Bruce the most pathetic, most failed version across the entire multiverse, a nightmare Batman, a bad joke, the Grim Knight calmly walks away, just as the bomb inside the building counts down to 0. The entire Wayne Tower collapses in a thunderous explosion, followed by a terrifying silence before the screams of an entire city erupt across Gotham. Cut back to the present. The camera returns to the exact moment Bruce, who just barely survived that catastrophe, storms into the operating room, screaming for Joker to be woken up right now. Alfred tries to warn him he's still deep under sedation, but Bruce has run out of patience. He grabs the Joker, shakes him violently, forcing him awake to force out the monster's real plan. The Joker only answers with his signature raspy cackle, then drops a line that's half a joke, half completely sincere. He has no idea what the plan is. There's exactly one person on Earth who does. And the chapter closes on a shocking twist. The story quietly cuts to a small convenience store, where an employee in a red baseball cap is working under a fake name, until Commissioner Gordon himself shows up in person, begging for his help because there's a monster running loose out there, striking at exactly his friend's one fatal weakness. The employee coldly asks why him, and Gordon, voice cracking, delivers the shocking truth. This is his own son, James Gordon Jr., a man who carries a genuinely chilling cold-bloodedness at his core, and perhaps, in all of Gotham, he's the only one who truly understands how a real monster thinks, the only one who can help them stop it. Chapter 3, The Laughing House, Part 3, opens on a rare, quiet moment. Batman, out on patrol at night, questioning what it even means to be a father, what he still carries from his own parents, and whether a man in a bat cowl could ever be fit to raise anyone. That's the emotional backbone of the whole chapter. A Batman forced to learn, reluctantly, to trust the very son of the person closest to him. James Gordon Jr. officially enters the story, not just some ex-criminal let out on a technicality, but the result of a secret rehabilitation program funded by Wayne Enterprises itself, an experimental drug called Diaxamine 2, paired with an ankle monitor, engineered to fully suppress the killer instinct that once landed James in a psychiatric ward years ago. Gordon confesses to Batman. He bet both his honor and his relationship with his son to pull James out of that darkness, and now he has to gamble everything all over again, handing James the most dangerous job of his life, using his own genius criminal mind to think exactly like the monster hunting Gotham. All three of them, Batman, Gordon, and James, confirm a terrifying truth together. On this Earth, the last laugh defense system can only be activated with both biometric signatures present at once, Bruce Wayne's and Commissioner Gordon's, meaning if the monster wants to disable the city's final shield, it needs to capture or kill both of them at the same time. Batman and James immediately head down into Gotham's underground reservoir system, searching for the point where the monster could release its dark matter time toxin into the city's entire water supply. But the underground investigation is cut short by an ambush. The Grim Knight himself opens fire in the dark tunnels, demanding Gordon be handed over. Batman trades gunfire while shielding him, and in the middle of the fight, the monster delivers a devastating psychological blow. The Grim Knight shoots out the engine of a passenger plane, National Flight 378, 72 people on board, 41 of them Gotham residents, then issues an ultimatum: hand over Commissioner Gordon, or he lets the plane crash straight into Midtown. Batman manages to save the plane and lays out the crucial truth. What the monster really needs isn't James, it's Gordon Sr., the other half of the dual key to the city's defense system. Meanwhile, at Oswald Cobblepot's, the Penguin's Iceberg Lounge hideout, the Batman who laughs himself storms in, setting the entire hall ablaze. He whispers to Penguin that in nearly every universe, Batman's ultimate enemy isn't the Joker, it's the Penguin. Then he kills him right there. But before Penguin dies, the monster plants one last clue in his ear, a rumor about loaded dice in the casino running too fair. Go investigate a lowlife named Malone. As he dies, Penguin can only manage to gasp out, "Matches Malone," the exact alias Bruce Wayne has been using inside Penguin's organization all this time to manipulate it from within. Back in Gotham's underground, the search for the poisoned water source uncovers something even more terrifying than the monster itself. James is starting to break down. He admits to Batman that he's been infected by something the monster gives off, and he has only about a week of resistance left before the killer instinct he's suppressed for so long threatens to resurface. In the middle of his panic, James opens up about a feeling of emptiness that's followed him his whole life, having to learn to fake normal emotions every single day, while Batman, trembling in a way rarely seen, confesses back to him. "Maybe I really am going to lose to him this time, James. For the first time in my life, being Batman isn't working anymore." Right in that vulnerable moment, Alfred calls in a panic. The Joker, held prisoner in the Batcave despite being tightly restrained and heavily sedated, has somehow broken free, attacked Alfred, and escaped, laughing wildly as he runs, spouting haunting nonsense like, "You're breaking my heart, he he he." Right after that news, something unsettling starts to surface in Batman himself. He unconsciously repeats a strange phrase, "You're right, everyone's right," as if he himself is beginning to be infected by something, the exact same way James was. Bruce rushes back to Wayne Manor, but right at the familiar grandfather clock entrance, the system flashes, "Access denied." The door down to the Batcave locked tight against its own owner. He's forced to circle around to a secret backup entrance, an old sewer drain almost no one knows about, while up above, Alfred runs frantically through the mansion calling out, "Master Bruce, where are you?" and getting no answer. When Alfred finally makes his way down into the cave, the sight before him stops him cold. The entire backup supply of Joker toxin antidote, the only thing keeping the real Joker from turning into that same monster, has been smashed, not a single vial left intact. And in the middle of the wreckage is Bruce, building something in the dark, his voice flat and chilling. Maybe the whole plan all along, the plan to climb out of the darkness, learn to be brave, was wrong from the very start. That the Bat was only ever meant to be a messenger from hell, sent to tell people what they must do, not something for them to become. And maybe, all these years, he'd been reading that message wrong the entire time. Alfred screams, asking what he's building, begging him to stop, insisting that being Batman has always worked. But Bruce only answers coldly, "Not anymore. Not against him. He is the plan. From now and forever. He is the plan." Alfred stumbles back in horror, and Bruce, hands over his face, can only murmur one thing full of regret. "I'm sorry, old friend." Chapter 3 closes on a chilling whisper drifting out of the darkness. A plan, no matter what plan it is, can always change. Chapter 4 opens on a rare, quiet moment in the middle of the storm. Bruce, during a brutal night of patrol, reminds himself of an old proverb from the Miyagani tribe who once lived in Gotham before being massacred. Happiness is seeing the world through a child's eyes. He thinks of Dick Grayson, the first Robin with the most carefree, weightless eyes he's ever known, and tells himself that whenever he doubts himself, he tries to see the world through the eyes of the children he raised, to feel that same joy, that same peace again. But right after, the story cuts hard down to the present-day Batcave, where a horrifying truth is revealed. Bruce's eyes now glow burning red, the skin around them cracked as if scorched, and Alfred is screaming in horror, "What have you done?" Bruce, voice ice cold, only answers, "What I had to do." It turns out that the night before, Bruce forged himself a mask, a set of eye lenses made from dark metal torn straight out of Gotham's depths, fused directly onto his face. Alfred, who'd warned him beforehand, explains that material is tuned to the exact same energy the Batman Who Laughs uses to see across the Dark Multiverse, to read humanity's deepest fears, desires, cravings. If Bruce can learn to use it, he could predict which Bruce Wayne from which universe the monster pulls through next, beating him at his own game. But the price is enormous. The instant it's attached, a temporary fit of madness hits, and Bruce lashes out at Alfred without mercy, spewing venomous words no one could have imagined. That for years Alfred had done nothing but hold him back, that he was never truly a father to him. Before snapping back to himself, horrified at what he's just done, pulling a weeping Alfred into his arms, apologizing over and over. He whispers to him, being Batman was never about himself. It was always for Gotham, for everyone else. And now, he needs to learn to see the world exactly the way that monster sees it, in order to understand it. The story abruptly shifts to the monster's own point of view. He's holding our world's Commissioner Gordon prisoner, calling him his best friend, despite never truly having met him. Because in his world, that world's own Jim Gordon died very early, when the Joker rigged a notebook with an acid trap that took his nose and later his life. Exactly the turning point that pushed that world's Batman past the line into killing the Joker. And from that single act of killing, the monster known as the Batman Who Laughs was born. He leads Gordon down into a secret lair beneath Gotham, showing off that he's already collected 4 of the 6 serum vials he needs to transform the entire city, while mocking that his own accomplice, the Grim Knight, was never even really his friend back in his own homeworld. Meanwhile, Bruce drives across Gotham in disguise, using the dark metal mask to read the energy trail of the Grim Knight's portals, but more importantly, to look at the ordinary people walking around out there, families pushing strollers down the street, reminding himself that they are the children of Gotham, the real reason he does any of this. That moment of peace is snuffed out almost immediately by a horrifying sight. Ghostly red silhouettes appear all over the city, brawling with themselves, a hospital gurney getting swept up in the cross-dimensional chaos. Alfred confirms over radio that the Grim Knight is siphoning the city's power grid to pump energy into the remaining shards of dark metal, opening portals, freely choosing which Bruce Waynes from which universes to pull through. Bruce immediately has Alfred patch him through to James Gordon Jr., who has narrowed the list of suspicious reservoirs down to 3. Mid-conversation, James suddenly opens up about his true nature. "I was already exactly who I am, long before I ever killed anyone. The slippery slope was never the act itself, it was the belief." Batman, in a voice rarely this shaky, confesses back, the monster's worldview is terrifyingly seductive, everything suddenly clicking into place with an obsessive, unsettling clarity. He still remembers that feeling, even though he gave it up long ago. Before hanging up, James asks him point blank, if Batman wins but still can't stop whatever's happening to himself, does he have a final contingency plan? Batman answers with just 2 doubt-laced words. Batman? The story flashes back 3 hours earlier, at a secret resource cache belonging to the Last Laugh system deep under Gotham. Batman has brought the real Joker along with him, still held captive, used as a tool of understanding, to help check whether the water supply has been poisoned. Just as the check finishes, a shocking moment hits, ripping a scream out of Batman. Right after, a raw, emotional face-off unfolds between the 2 lifelong enemies on a narrow bridge. The Joker screams, asking why Batman even came here to hurt him, beat him, torture him, kill him, then answers his own question, before dropping a stunning truth. It was he himself, no one else, who implanted that toxin in his own heart from the start, as his final, permanent trap for Batman. The Joker declares the 2 of them will be enemies forever, that he believes someday he'll win, that he'll get to see Batman on his knees in despair as the city collapses. But just this once, right now, he wants Batman to know the truth. He never actually wanted to win. He doesn't want either of them to ever win, not ever. The conversation closes on a moment that's both dark and rarely tender. The Joker admits that if he himself ever turns into that monster, he won't be lucid enough to end his own life at the right moment. So he asks Batman to do it for him if it comes to that. Then he jokes he'll blow Batman's brains out, Pinky swear hoping Batman dies, before suddenly shifting tone. He didn't come here to say goodbye. He came to wish Batman luck. Batman, in his own inner thoughts, admits that was the most terrifying sound he's ever heard, the sound of the Joker's laughter as he walks away. Back in the present, at Blackgate, Batman's dark metal mask detects portal energy spiking off the charts at the exact block once used to transfer prisoners from Arkham. Alfred warns over the radio, if the interdimensional gate can pull other Bruce Waynes through, it might just as easily pull Batman through to the other side too. Right at that moment, a voice screams, "Freeze!" and Batman realizes he's already been swept through the portal. He appears in the middle of a panicked riot squad, face to face with a young officer shaking as he aims his gun, screaming that Batman is the laughing one. Amid the whole squad screaming for him to shoot, Batman calmly reads off the officer's exact badge details. David Harper, 29, wife named Callie, a 2-year-old daughter named Madeline, describing the exact plush Batman toy that giggles every time little Madeline squeezes it, because I really am Batman. Harper lowers his gun, convinced, and agrees to help Batman find who he's looking for. But right after, a beep sounds, and Batman is swept through yet another portal, this time into a black gate 6 times its normal size, where another Bruce Wayne, a version who became this world's own ruler, steps out to greet him, surrounded by a ring of guards. This Bruce Wayne boasts he once made Gotham almost perfect, completely under control, before this world's Commissioner Gordon brought it all crashing down on his head. He declares he's here for revenge. Once hunted by this world's Batman, now he intends to be the hunter himself, and he's brought a few special hounds along for the occasion. He orders Gordon to run, then turns to mock our Batman. This isn't the old Gotham anymore. No gates in, no way out. Exactly the lesson he and his whole family once paid dearly to learn. Bruce is yanked through yet another portal, this time dropping right into the middle of a group of guards, including Harper, who's been swept along too. The guards shout, "The Batman who laughs, stop him!" And another masked figure appears, coldly cutting down a man in front of Batman despite his pleading, then turns to announce he already knows every trick Batman has, predicting that right now he's trying to see through the horror in front of him. And then, a forced nightmare erupts inside Batman's mind. Dick Grayson and the other Robins twisted into Joker-like monsters, snarling and tearing an innocent man apart to death in front of him, while the enemy's voice pours into his ear. You're trying to see the world through your Robin's eyes, aren't you? But they already know, Batman, the hope you once saw in people was only ever a lie. That's exactly why Dick, why all of them, always choose to stand as high, as far away as possible. Let me tear off this digital mask entirely so you can see clearly. Your truest, most loyal child is the Batman who laughs. The hallucination snaps away, dragging Batman back into brutal reality. Harper, now fully convinced Batman is the one who killed this world's Bruce Wayne and is carrying a detonation device, screams the order for the entire squad to open fire. And Chapter 4 closes under a hail of bullets aimed straight at Batman. Chapter 5 opens on a childhood memory of Bruce's, a boy standing on a subway platform, gripping a single token tightly in his hand, listening to his father tell him that right now he's holding in his hand everything this city stands for. Bruce, in a grown man's voice echoing back, reflects, he is Gotham. Gotham is him. The two nothing more than a single idea. The idea that people can become better together. Then a hard cut back into the gunfire at Blackgate. His opponent keeps taunting, must be fun being yourself, huh, Bruce? As green gas and an explosion send Batman flying. The trick of reading each guard's personal details doesn't work this time. The squad keeps firing, a hazy voice whispering, it's really them, Bruce, but he shoves the thought aside. This world's Bruce Wayne Warden is already dead, his head severed from his body. The guards demand armor-piercing rounds, and Batman is forced to use the corpse's armored body as a shield, each bullet tearing through it like a blade sinking into flesh. Backed into a corner, he manages to break the squad's psychological defenses by calling out each man by name and reciting intimate details of their lives. Officer Jimenez's father's dangerous bus route, Officer Leonard's fear of fire escapes. The squad freezes, stunned, and Batman follows up threatening to hunt down their families if they dare call for backup. Right after comes a chilling moment. Batman himself, or rather a part of him already infected, snarls out, "Because I am the Batman who laughs, ha ha ha," before leading someone down a staircase, a blood-soaked glove left behind in his wake. Down below is an even more horrifying sight. Grotesque Joker-Robin hybrid creatures are closing in on a man, and the one behind it all reveals to Commissioner Gordon that the man is, in fact, every multiversal version of his own son, James. The Batman who laughs has turned every James Gordon Jr. from every different reality into a monster, as if some part of them always secretly craved it. A bat-carved knife, a gift the officers once gave Gordon the day he got his badge back, is brandished as a threat to gut him and feed him to his own son. Gordon is shoved into the water, flailing, chased by the pack of monsters amid laughter taunting, "Keep running, it's more fun that way." Just as one of the Joker-Robin creatures is about to reach him, calling out "Daddy" in a warped voice, two gunshots ring out. The real James Gordon Jr. of this world, wearing a red beanie, has shot down his own twisted duplicate to save his father. In the water, father and son are reunited in a choked-up embrace. Gordon can't believe his son actually found him, while James just murmurs that he still remembers these tunnels, as if some remnant of his old criminal instincts is quietly resurfacing inside him. Meanwhile, Batman is pulled into a hallucination, or rather, a memory he's being forced to witness, of the Court of Owls from another reality. A figure in golden armor with owl-like pointed ears, dagger in hand, steps before a council to ask a small favor. The council mocks him, demands his execution, even lets a girl in a wheelchair, their youngest member, decide his fate. But the man in golden armor just sneers. He's already made his move. The entire Talon Guard has been turned into instruments of slaughter, every exit through the maze rigged with bombs, and amid a chorus of boom, 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 the entire council, including the girl in the wheelchair, is wiped out, their screams echoing down into the abyss. He laughs uproariously, claiming the Batman who laughs is backing him, and right after, the Batman who laughs himself whispers to him, "I've taken you over and become your master now. Where are your birds now, Bruce? Your whole world all gone. Now it's just you, here, with me." The man in golden armor, another Bruce Wayne who has lost everything, screams, "Who are you?" before collapsing, murmuring, "I don't even recognize myself anymore." The hallucination fades. Batman returns to the present on a rooftop, continuing his inner monologue about Gotham, that Batman is Gotham, and Gotham is about people becoming better together. Before an urgent call from James cuts in, father and son are trapped underground and need rescue now. The scene cuts to the Batcave where the whole group reunites. Gordon confirms he's seen the Batman who laughs' lair with his own eyes. The monster already has 4 of the 6 serum vials needed to turn people into the worst version of themselves. Batman activates the final option, Last Laugh, an emergency lockdown system requiring both him and Gordon to authenticate within 2 minutes, or it locks itself down for 7 days. Once activated, Last Laugh will cut Gotham off from the national power grid and outside water supply, turning the entire city into a quarantine zone. But it's also the only way to stop the Batman who laughs from poisoning the city's water. Gordon, voice cracking, reads out the activation phrase, the old Miyagani tribal saying etched onto that subway token with new eyes, and the countdown begins. 1 minute, 59 seconds. The moment the clock starts, the Batman who laughs hijacks a monitor, begging Batman not to press the button. He unveils an ancient 1699 map of the Court of Owls, proving that from the very beginning, Gotham and the entire Last Laugh system was never designed as a shelter at all, but as a fortress of power. A weapons cache, a hidden plague repository, a secret dock, all built to serve a stronger being incubating inside it. He pours poison into Batman's ear, that his friends will eventually lie to him, that they're weak and petty, just like Gotham itself has become, that this city's true purpose has always been conquest. Woven into the seduction is another vision, a masked figure called Brother, whose childhood memory of that same subway token is stirred awake, convinced he has finally seen the truth. Right after, he's torn apart by a volley of exploding knives, a warning to anyone who dares doubt. Alfred panics, begging Batman to stop, warning that the toxin saturation in his blood is nearly complete, that he can no longer see clearly, but he also reminds him that the Wayne family once stood alone for what was right, and that's who he truly is. The clock ticks down to 20 seconds, then 10, and the effort to stop it seems to be failing. But in the very last second, Batman types the final keystrokes, whispering his own personal password, with new eyes, and the screen lights up with the words, "Last Laugh activated." All of Gotham is now officially sealed off from the outside world. But in that exact moment of victory, one cold thought still lingers. Maybe this was precisely what the Batman who laughs wanted all along. Chapter 6 opens under a Gotham sky ablaze with sunset, as a swarm of bat drones fills the air, sealing off every exit from the city. Last Laugh needs a full 2 hours to fully activate, and for those 2 hours, no one in the entire city will be able to laugh. Down in the Batcave, Batman is nearly spent. The healthy red blood cells left in his body are down to about 10%, and Alfred begs him to get into the cryo chamber to slow the infection, but he refuses. He explains his reasoning for activating Last Laugh. The system temporarily wrests control of Gotham's entire power grid back from the Grim Knight. It's only a matter of hours before he hacks his way back in, but it's enough time to set a trap. Gordon and James map out a plan. Batman will go alone to the mansion to face the Batman who laughs head-on, while father and son Gordon suit up in bulletproof armor and head down to the reservoir to stop the Grim Knight. Meanwhile, the swarm of bat drones spreads what's meant to be antidote across the city, just in case he tries to poison the water supply. James warns, he's already nearly fully turned into that monster. How could he possibly win? Batman only answers, that's exactly why, because he's nearly become him, that he even has a chance. Elsewhere in the city, the Grim Knight lines up a sniper shot on a Wayne Foundation award ceremony, where a happy alternate universe Bruce Wayne, one in a wheelchair, is being honored by the entire Bat family, receiving a gold-plated Bat medal, It's Tim, standing in for Dick, Babs, Steph, Damian, Cass, and everyone else, presenting the gift. The moment wheelchair Bruce opens his mouth to say thank you, a shot rings out. The monster boasts that he made him vanish right in front of Bruce, erasing yet another happy version of Bruce, then warns there's less than an hour left before the transformation is complete. Right after, Batman is dragged into a swirling, dark energy hallucination. Thousands of Bruce Waynes scattered across the Dark Multiverse, every single one happier than our version. The monster's voice echoes. He's drained every last pocket of dark metal in the city dry, except for one place, right beneath Wayne Manor, to funnel all that power into opening a gate large enough to pull the final Bruce Wayne through within the hour. Unless Batman does exactly as he's told. Meanwhile, back in the Batcave, James Gordon Jr., still locked down under the DNA-based security system, begs his father once more to be trusted, confessing he nearly dumped the antidote into the reservoir just to feel how much being a decent person hurts, but in the end didn't. Gordon, still carrying too many scars from past betrayals, refuses. "I'm sorry, James, but no." James quietly accepts it, and right after, the weapons locker still opens for him anyway, a half-hearted vote of trust, born out of necessity. Batman, now down to under 5% healthy red blood cells, refuses every plea to stop, telling Alfred to promise to stay far away, not from the monster, but from him, when the Batman Who Laughs finally shows up. Across the city, even the most notorious criminals sense something rising up from Gotham's 400-year-old foundations, wondering if the whole city is about to start laughing right along with the monster. Bruce makes his way to the ruined mansion for a direct confrontation. The Batman Who Laughs sneers, saying he can smell Bruce's blood, like looking in a mirror. Batman fires back, "I will never be you." But the monster recounts the very story of his own transformation. The moment he did nothing at all, waited for his entire family to come visit, then killed every one of them, before calmly sipping a cool glass of water afterward. A raw, brutal warning of what awaits Batman if he too chooses to do nothing. At the same time, down in the reservoir, father and son Gordon in bulletproof armor rush in to intercept the Grim Knight. On a narrow bridge, the Grim Knight, the gun-toting version of Batman from the monster's world, knocks them both down, then pours a haunting story into their ears. In his world, because Gordon was too obsessed with hunting him to have any time left for his son, no one, not even Bruce Wayne, ever truly trusted James, until the day James Gordon Jr. hanged himself in prison. Back at the main confrontation, the Batman Who Laughs digs straight into Bruce's deepest psychological wound. He attacks his happiest childhood memory head-on, trying to twist it into a trap. But Bruce plants himself between the monster and the image of young Bruce in that memory, screaming at the boy to run as far away as possible, swearing he'll never let it touch him. The monster only sneers back, "This was never Bruce's trap to begin with." Then comes the chapter's most devastating twist. The Batman Who Laughs announces he doesn't need any more happy Bruce Waynes pulled through any portal at all, because the happiest version of Bruce Wayne across all of existence, the final piece he needs for his last batch of serum, is the version who lets go of every last shred of sorrow, lets go of every misguided ideal, to finally become the true Bat he always envisioned. And that is our Batman, right now, as his blood reaches near total toxin saturation. Batman can only manage one desperate scream. No! On the bridge, the Grim Knight keeps twisting the knife into James Gordon Jr.'s own wound, insisting his father never truly trusted or loved him. Commissioner Gordon chokes out, screaming that he loves his son unconditionally, good or bad, that he was wrong to ever think otherwise. But the only reply he gets is ice cold and resigned. "No, you weren't wrong." A tragic moment leaves the fate of father and son hanging in the water. Chapter 6 closes on the most brutal image the series has shown so far. The Batman Who Laughs sits triumphantly on top of a fully broken Batman, drawing a tube of sickly green serum straight from his arm, whispering, "It's you, right now, as you become me." And somewhere amid laughter echoing across the whole city, one final sound can be heard, the laughter of both of them, merged into one. Chapter 7, the final chapter, opens on the monster's own memory. The moment he let the old Bruce go for good, that strange feeling when everything tangled suddenly became crystal clear. The moment he stopped fighting, stopped wearing the mask, and simply accepted who he truly was. He holds a syringe of golden serum, whispering that true happiness is becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. The flashback pulls us into his world's Wayne Manor, a figure in bat armor, once an ally, a brother of his, standing beside him nodding, agreeing, "You were right." Then an image of a boy running toward the manor at sunset, the final moment of the old Bruce, before vanishing forever, making way for the Batman who laughs to be fully born. Cut to the present, the Batman who laughs, now fully in his true monstrous form, holds a blood test vial. If the indicator light turns red, it means the blood inside is enough to complete the final serum batch he needs, enough to turn this entire city into exactly what it was always meant to be. He draws a gun on Batman, declaring there can only be one winner, and delivers a cold warning: there's no happy ending waiting here. The story cuts down into the Batcave, onto a narrow bridge spanning the underground water. James Gordon Jr., now fully under the Batman who laughs' mental control, has his father in a chokehold, snarling that he's dumping all his rage onto the fake rules that have crushed him for so long, declaring that from now on, no one can keep a knee off this city's throat anymore. But Batman counters instantly, wrenching the bat-carved knife out of James's hand before it can reach Commissioner Gordon's throat. In the middle of the fight, the Batman who laughs works hard to lure James Gordon Jr. over to his side. He compares passing the torch to the next generation, to the moment you let a young bat fly free off the cliff face on its own. And now he wants to do exactly that with James. Pick up the bat knife, stand with him, become something even more than a Robin. He offers him a seductive, dark new title, the Raven, the Bird of Death. But Batman had already anticipated all of it. He reveals, knowing full well any syringe the monster carries would be Wayne Tech, he'd already planted a chip that makes the indicator light always show red, even though the real blood underneath is still blue, still safe. The Batman who laughs freezes, then lets out a hollow laugh. He no longer cares why Batman hasn't fully transformed. He once considered Bruce his best friend in the world, but now there's only one thing left to do: kill him. The swarm of bat drones is closing in on the city's water distribution points, carrying something disguised as antidote that is, in truth, his own serum. The instant anyone drinks it, they'll transform into their own darkest, happiest self. To prove it, he forces Commissioner Gordon to drink it right there on the spot. Gordon chokes out a strained groan as the transformation begins to take hold. Batman lunges to stop it, taking a bullet in the middle of the struggle, but still manages one single scream: no, as the monster threatens that if he doesn't cooperate, he'll simply pull another Bruce Wayne through from another universe to replace him. Amid a chaotic swirl of memories, an image surfaces: a boy, James Gordon Jr. as a child, in the Batman who laughs' world, panicking, running through a graveyard, screaming for help while his own father, now turned monster after drinking that same fake antidote, chases behind him, taunting, "Run, go ahead and scream." The real Commissioner Gordon, even after being thrown into the water, still refuses to call out for his son to save himself, only answering flatly, "I'm fine right here." The Batman who laughs, curved blade in hand, lures Batman out of hiding in the graveyard, promising this won't hurt much. But the instant he steps into view, Alfred suddenly unloads round after round straight into him, screaming, "Die, you devil," only to realize, more painful than any bullet, that this is exactly what the monster has been engineering for over a year. In his world, Alfred never died. He'd been held captive, starved, whispered into psychological submission until he broke completely, becoming his most loyal servant. Alfred, trembling, can only say, "I would never do that." But just as the monster gloats over having turned Alfred into a weapon against Batman, the truth comes out: this was never his trap at all. Batman was the one setting the trap. He'd quietly installed automatic harpoon launchers loaded with high-voltage depleted uranium rounds at every location only Bruce Wayne could know about. Crime Alley, the Batcave, the Manor, and right here in this very graveyard. Exactly as he predicted, the monster would turn this final battle into something personal, over the soul of Batman. A volley of harpoons rips through the monster's body amid high-voltage current, tearing through the night. The battle rages on. Batman, in a blind fury, rips the Martha Wayne gravestone right out of the ground to use as a weapon, declaring that someone even more contemptible than the worst Batman is the Batman who defeats him. At the same moment, James Gordon Jr., finally breaking free of the mind control, manages to rip the remote control device off the monster's body, screaming through tears, "Thank you, finish it," forcing the cornered monster to finally reveal his true, complete form. A hideous, spider-like mechanical creature with no trace of humanity left. Alfred stares in silent horror, while Batman doesn't let up, keeps pressing the assault until the monster is almost fully subdued. But just as the drone swarm prepares to release the serum across all of Gotham, a sudden gunshot rings out, shattering the central control panel. The one pulling the trigger is none other than Bruce, his face now made up to look exactly like the Joker. Green hair, a slit-wide grin, but completely lucid and in control underneath. This is the entire crux of the whole ruse. He deliberately faked his transformation to lure the monster into letting his guard down. He simply mutters, "You're welcome," before pulling the trigger. The system throws errors, the control circuit snaps, and the Batman Who Laughs' entire serum distribution plan collapses right at the doorstep of success. 2 weeks later, Bruce wakes up in the wrecked Batcave, body wrapped in bandages after an emergency blood transfusion, personally overseeing the melting down of every last scrap of dark metal left beneath Gotham, so that no gateway into the Dark Multiverse can ever open again. And here's the detail that stopped me cold, the part a lot of retellings tend to get wrong. The blood that saved Bruce's life did not come from Gordon's son. It came from a young Bruce Wayne from the Dark Multiverse, plasma nearly identical to embryonic stem cells, born from Bruce himself. Alfred confirms the transfusion has held steady for 2 weeks. Then, in a quiet moment, he reveals he managed to return that boy safely back to his own world, his own point in time, and left him with one piece of advice. If his parents ever suggest a night out at the theater sometime soon, find a way to stay home instead. At the very least, he'd saved one life, one young Bruce, spared from that fateful night in the alley. Bruce, moved, praises Alfred for having stayed Batman through this entire ordeal, not through sheer willpower, but through one small trick. He'd long suspected the Joker implanted that toxin in his own heart in advance, buying himself more time than anyone realized, and maybe some hidden delay agent was what kept him lucid throughout the entire infection. But Alfred, with a rare, serious look, reveals something even more shocking. He personally tested the toxin that partially transformed Bruce and found no delay agent in it whatsoever. In other words, Bruce never needed any chemical shield to resist corruption at all. He simply never changed, because deep down, he was always already Batman. Alfred even jokes that the cruelest trick the real Joker could ever pull was taking credit for something Batman achieved entirely on his own. Standing quietly, staring into the darkness, Bruce lets his mind drift back to the very argument that's haunted him this whole journey. That the monster locked in the Hall of Justice dungeon wasn't wrong to say life has no inherent meaning, so the only meaningful act left is to win by any means necessary. But Batman believes the opposite, that choosing to believe every one of your actions has meaning. Both beliefs, in the end, are just the same shared fear between the two of them, that deep down, human beings are nothing more than cold, instinctive, selfish creatures. Elsewhere in the city, at the precinct, James Gordon Jr., now back in an orange cadet's uniform, shares a quiet conversation with his father. Gordon admits he called in a favor to let his son keep walking the path he's on, that where he's standing now, imperfect as it is already something good. Both of them admit neither of them has truly arrived anywhere, but both are still trying, and so is everyone else. Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce pulls a grown James Gordon Jr. into a rare, warm embrace, then, amid the flow of Gotham traffic at night, quietly pushes back against the Batman Who Laughs' entire philosophy, that the bat, the only mammal that can fly, was never a symbol of surrendering to raw primal instinct like the monster claimed. Quite the opposite. A bat flies precisely because it defies its own nature, stretching its own flesh into wings both painful and beautiful, to achieve the hardest thing of all. In the Manor Library, Bruce closes everything out with one final thought. Being Batman was never about knowing who you are, but about who you choose to become. And in his own quiet way, all these years, it's always been Alfred reminding him of that. But the final page of the entire series leaves behind a chilling echo. Bruce, in the Manor Library, closes it all out with an inner monologue to Alfred that he's still laughing on the inside, old friend, on the inside. Then the camera cuts to Commissioner Gordon, walking alone through the night streets. A young cadet nervously asks if he's all right, and he simply answers, "Never better." At that exact moment, Gordon's eyes flash a strange reddish gold glint for just a single frame, as if some tiny fragment of that toxin is still lodged somewhere inside him, never truly gone for good. And that is the ending of the entire 7-issue journey of The Batman Who Laughs, one of the darkest, most haunting stories Gotham has ever witnessed, closing not on an absolute victory, but on an open question. Is the line between Batman and the monster he just defeated really as clear as we want to believe? Or is it still smoldering somewhere inside him, waiting for the day it rises again? Thanks for coming along with me on this whole dark journey. See you in the next video. Peace.